Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare. When it comes to DLCs that are worth every penny, Undead Nightmare for the original Red Dead Redemption is an absolute no-brainer. Released in 2010, this isn't just some throwaway add-on, it's an entirely new experience that turns the Wild West into a nightmarish, zombie-infested apocalypse. And the best part? It's as fun and inventive today as it was back then. First off, the tone shift is incredible. The base game is this epic, emotional cowboy story, but Undead Nightmare throws all that out the window in favor of a campy B-movie horror vibe, and it works. Seeing John Marston, one of gaming's most beloved protagonists, go from dealing with outlaws to fighting off hordes of zombies is just chef's kiss. The story is surprisingly engaging, blending humor, dread, and even a little heart as John tries to save his family in this twisted version of the West. But let's talk gameplay, because Undead Nightmare isn't just about reskinning the base game. It introduces entirely new mechanics like hunting down mythical creatures, including unicorns and the four horses of the apocalypse. Yes, you can ride pestilence, war, and death, and they're as awesome as they sound. Each horse has unique abilities, adding a fun layer of strategy to how you navigate the zombie-infested world. The zombies themselves are no pushovers either. They come in different types, from the fast and aggressive to the slower, more resilient walkers, forcing you to mix up your combat strategies. Ammo is scarce, so every shot counts, and the tension ramps up as you fight to clear out towns and survive the night. The world itself gets a complete makeover. The familiar towns and landscapes from Red Dead Redemption are now eerie, fog-drenched husks of their former selves, with an unsettling greenish hue lighting up the night. It's haunting, beautiful, and totally unique. For a DLC that transforms the tone and gameplay so drastically, Undead Nightmare feels like a full game in its own right. Whether you're a fan of zombies, westerns, or just great game design, this is a must-play. It's rare for DLC to be this creative and memorable, and over a decade later, it's still an all-time favorite. Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. Alright, let's dive into Phantom Liberty, the DLC for Cyberpunk 2077 that takes an already massive game and cranks it up a notch. Released in 2023, this expansion doesn't just feel like an add-on, it's a full-blown improvement that brings new life to Night City and makes the game feel more complete. First off, the story. Phantom Liberty introduces a whole new spy thriller plot where you team up with Idris Elba's character, Solomon Reed, and get tangled up in a world of espionage, betrayal, and tough choices. The writing here is some of the best in Cyberpunk 2077, and the decisions you make feel more impactful than ever. It's intense, personal, and keeps you hooked from start to finish. The new area, Dogtown, is a huge addition. It's gritty, but also packed with detail, from its lawless streets to hidden underground spots. It feels like its own character, separate from the rest of Night City, and it's a blast to explore. The missions here are packed with action and creativity, with a mix of stealth, hacking, and straight-up combat that keeps things fresh.
Go out and play.
Speaking of combat, Phantom Liberty introduces a bunch of new weapons, cyberware, and abilities that make gameplay even better. The revamped skill trees give you more options to customize your playstyle, whether you want to go full cyber ninja or a tanky, tech-heavy bruiser. It feels tighter and more rewarding than the base game, which is saying a lot. And then there's the polish. This DLC came alongside the 2.0 update, which overhauled tons of core mechanics like the police system, vehicle combat, and UI. It's not just about what's new, it's about how everything feels better. If you were on the fence about Cyberpunk 2077 before, Phantom Liberty is the perfect reason to jump back in. For anyone who loves deep stories, fast-paced action, and the immersive world of Cyberpunk, this DLC is absolutely worth the price. It's a reminder of what makes Night City such a great place to lose yourself in. The Last of Us Part 1 Left Behind. When it comes to DLCs that are 100% worth your time and money, Left Behind for The Last of Us Part 1 is an easy pick. Originally released in 2014 and updated with the remake, this expansion doesn't just add to the story, it makes it deeper and more emotional in a way that only The Last of Us can pull off. The DLC takes place in two timelines, one during the events of the main game, where Ellie is trying to save Joel's life, and another as a flashback showing her time with her best friend Riley. The back and forth storytelling is perfectly balanced, giving you action-packed moments one second and heartfelt, quiet scenes the next. The flashback segments with Riley are the heart of the DLC. It's not about fighting or survival, it's about the bond between two teenagers trying to find joy in a broken world, exploring an abandoned mall, playing arcade games, and even throwing bricks at car windows feels so human and grounded. It's a rare moment of peace that makes what happens later hit even harder.
Tougher windows. Yeah, whatever, loser.
But it's not all lighthearted. This is The Last of Us after all. The present day sections bring intense combat and stealth as Ellie fights off infected and human enemies to protect Joel. The way the game shifts between these two timelines keeps things fresh and emotionally gripping. If you're a fan of The Last of Us and haven't played this yet, you're missing a crucial part of Ellie's story. Left Behind doesn't just add to the game, it makes you see the characters and their world in a whole new light. The Witcher 3 Blood and Wine. Blood and Wine isn't just DLC, it's an expansion in every sense of the word. It takes Geralt to Toussaint, a sunlit storybook like land full of rolling vineyards, chivalric knights, and festivals. But don't be fooled by the colorful landscapes. Darkness lurks in every shadow, with a gripping story centered on a deadly vampire threat. The narrative is one of the best in The Witcher 3, balancing humor, drama, and horror. Detlef, the vampire at the heart of the conflict, is both terrifying and oddly sympathetic, making the choices you face feel heavy. Add in a cast of memorable characters, including the return of Duchess Anna Henrietta, and the story becomes impossible to put down. The new map of Toussaint is massive and jaw-droppingly gorgeous. From bustling markets to hidden caves, every corner feels alive and worth exploring. And with dozens of side quests, monster contracts, and secrets, there's no shortage of adventures. Plus, Geralt finally gets a place to call home, a vineyard you can upgrade and customize, because even Witchers need a break. Gameplay gets a serious boost too, with powerful new armor sets, weapons, and mutations to spice up combat. Whether you're tracking a massive monster or dueling knights, Blood and Wine keeps things fresh. It's everything you could want from a final chapter, a visually stunning world, a deep and emotional story, and a perfect send-off for Geralt's legendary journey. Totally worth every penny. Mass Effect 3 Citadel. Citadel isn't just a DLC, it's a love letter to Mass Effect fans. Released in 2013, it gives Commander Shepard and the crew one last adventure that's equal parts hilarious, heartfelt, and action-packed. If you've spent years bonding with these characters, this expansion is pure fan service in the best way possible. The story kicks off with Shepard being targeted by a mysterious enemy, leading to a wild mission that's full of twists, high-stakes battles, and some of the funniest dialogue in the series. The tone strikes a perfect balance. There's still the epic Mass Effect action, but with a lighter, more playful vibe that gives the crew time to shine. But the real magic? The downtime? Once the action wraps up, you get to throw a massive party with the entire squad, old friends return, inside jokes fly, and it feels like a reunion you didn't know you needed. Whether it's Garrus cracking wise or Tally telling drunken stories, the interactions are gold.
Why shoot something once when you can shoot it 46 more times?
And Citadel isn't just about nostalgia, it adds a new area of the space station to explore, with fun side missions, arcade games, and even a sushi restaurant. It's a whole chunk of content that feels like a gift to fans who've stuck with the series. If you've loved these characters and their journey, Citadel is the perfect farewell. It's funny, emotional, and makes you appreciate just how special the Mass Effect trilogy really is. Horizon Zero Dawn: The Frozen Wilds. The Frozen Wilds takes everything great about Horizon Zero Dawn and dials it up with a new region, tougher enemies, and a deeper look into Aloy's world. Released in 2017, this DLC expands the map to include the Cut, a snow-covered wilderness full of secrets, mysteries, and the fiercely independent Bannock tribe. The new story dives into the Bannock culture, focusing on their connection to machines and their struggle against a mysterious new threat. The lore here is rich, adding even more depth to Horizon's already fascinating world. Aloy gets some great character moments too as she unravels the mystery of the daemon corrupting the machines and helps the Bannock face their past. The gameplay? Let's just say it'll test you. The new machines like the Scorch spewing Fireclaw and the massive Frostclaw are some of the toughest fights in the game, forcing you to think strategically and upgrade your gear. Thankfully, the Frozen Wilds introduces new weapons and armor that make battling these mechanical monsters even more satisfying. And then there's the setting. The Cut is absolutely stunning, with blizzards, icy caverns, and auroras lighting up the night sky. Exploring the frozen landscapes feels like a fresh adventure with new challenges and plenty of hidden treasures. If you loved Horizon Zero Dawn, the Frozen Wilds is a no-brainer. It's an expansion that feels meaningful, challenging, and absolutely worth every penny. Spider-Man: The City That Never Sleeps? The City That Never Sleeps is a 3-part DLC for Marvel's Spider-Man that swings in with more action, drama, and web-slinging fun. Released in 2018, it continues Peter Parker's story post-main game and delivers plenty of reasons to suit up again. The story is split into 3 episodes: The Heist, Turf Wars, and Silver Lining. It kicks off with the return of Black Cat, and let's just say the chemistry between Felicia Hardy and Spidey is electric. Things quickly escalate with Hammerhead taking over the city, leading to intense battles, high stakes, and some emotional gut punches along the way. Gameplay-wise, it's more of what made the base game great with some fun new additions. There are fresh enemy types, challenging missions, and a handful of slick new suits that look amazing in action. Each episode ramps up the difficulty and gives you reasons to explore more of New York City's open world. But what makes this DLC stand out is the storytelling. It's packed with humor, tension, and heartfelt moments, especially as Peter juggles his personal life with the chaos unfolding around him. The banter between characters and the moral dilemmas Spidey faces make it feel like an essential extension of the main game. If you loved swinging through NYC and taking down bad guys in Spider-Man, The City That Never Sleeps gives you even more to enjoy. It's a worthy follow-up that keeps the action and story going strong. BioShock Infinite Burial at Sea. Burial at Sea is BioShock Infinite's DLC that ties the series together in the most jaw-dropping way possible. Released in 2 parts, it takes players back to Rapture, the underwater city from the first BioShock, but with a twist this time, you're seeing it through the lens of Infinite's Booker and Elizabeth. The first episode feels like a noir detective story. Booker is a private eye, and Elizabeth hires him to find a missing girl. Walking through a still thriving Rapture is mesmerizing with its Art Deco glory on full display. It's haunting to see the city before its fall, and exploring it brings a new layer of depth to the BioShock universe. The second episode flips the script entirely. You play as Elizabeth, and the gameplay leans heavily into stealth rather than combat. The story takes a darker, more emotional turn with some major revelations that tie Rapture and Columbia from Infinite together in ways you won't see coming. The DLC adds new weapons, plasmids, and gameplay mechanics, but the real draw here is the narrative. It's a tightly woven, emotional ride that connects the 2 BioShock worlds in a way that feels brilliant and heartbreaking. If you're a fan of BioShock, Burial at Sea is a must-play. It's more than just DLC, it's a love letter to the series that answers questions you didn't even know you had.
And I was desperate enough to believe her.
Elizabeth.
Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. Blood Dragon is what happens when a game doesn't take itself too seriously and it's glorious. Released in 2013, this standalone DLC for Far Cry 3 ditches the tropical island setting and throws you into a neon-soaked 1980s sci-fi action movie fever dream. You play as Rex Power Colt, a cyborg commando voiced by Michael Biehn, yes, from the Terminator, and your mission is simple: blow stuff up, kill bad guys, and look awesome doing it. The story is over the top, packed with cheesy one-liners, explosions, and all the VHS-era nostalgia you could want. The gameplay sticks to the classic Far Cry formula open-world chaos, but adds a ton of ridiculousness. You've got laser guns, cyber-enhanced animals, and of course the titular Blood Dragons, giant glowing lizards that shoot lasers out of their eyes. Yes, it's as amazing as it sounds. The retro-futuristic visuals are a highlight, with neon lights, synthwave skies, and an electric soundtrack that perfectly nails the 80s vibe. It's a total sensory overload, but in the best way possible. If you're looking for something wildly different and unapologetically fun, Blood Dragon is worth every penny. It's short, it's ridiculous, and it's a blast from start to finish. Metro Exodus: The Two Colonels. The Two Colonels is a DLC that takes the world of Metro Exodus and zooms in on what the series does best: intense storytelling, tight spaces, and heart-pounding survival. Released in 2019, this expansion isn't just an add-on, it's a deep, emotional dive into the struggles of life in the dying Metro, blending horror, action, and tragedy in equal measure. The story focuses on Colonel Klebnikov during his final days in the Novosibirsk Metro, as he fights to protect his son and find a way to survive in a collapsing society. Meanwhile, in the present, Colonel Miller retraces Klebnikov's steps, uncovering the grim fate of the city's inhabitants. The narrative jumps between these two timelines seamlessly, creating a layered, haunting tale of sacrifice and desperation. The setting takes you back to the dark, suffocating tunnels the Metro series is known for. Gone are the wide-open landscapes of Exodus. This is all about narrow passageways, flickering lights, and a constant feeling of dread as you face mutated creatures and dwindling resources. The sense of claustrophobia is real, and every encounter feels like a fight for survival. A standout addition is the flamethrower. It's not just a weapon, it's your lifeline. Watching mutants burn as fire illuminates the tunnels around you is both satisfying and terrifying, especially when your fuel gauge starts to drop. The gameplay here is a return to Metro's roots, focusing on methodical, resource-conscious action that keeps you on edge. What really makes the Two Colonels shine is its emotional depth. Klebnikov's relationship with his son is the heart of the story, and as you witness his sacrifices and the crumbling world around him, it's hard not to get attached. The voice acting and writing are top-notch, delivering gut-punch moments that stick with you long after the credits roll. At around 3 to 4 hours long, it's a compact experience, but it's packed with atmosphere, tension, and a story that adds new layers to the Metro universe. If you're a fan of the series or just love a tight, emotional survival tale, The Two Colonels is absolutely worth diving into. Metro Exodus: Sam's Story. Sam's story takes Metro Exodus in a new direction, trading the claustrophobic tunnels and tight-knit Spartan crew for a sprawling, open-world adventure filled with danger, discovery, and tough choices. Released in 2020, this DLC follows Sam, the American Marine-turned-Spartan Ranger, as he searches for a way back to the United States in the post-apocalyptic wasteland. Set in Vladivostok, the environment is both breathtaking and deadly. The ruined port city and surrounding coastal areas are a mix of flooded streets, crumbling industrial complexes, and desolate shores. It's packed with detail, from rusting ships stranded on dry land to eerie fog rolling across the water, creating an atmosphere that's haunting and beautiful. The gameplay leans heavily into exploration, with a large open map that encourages you to scavenge for supplies, fight off mutants, and carefully navigate encounters with hostile factions. There's a heavy emphasis on survival, as you'll need to craft and conserve resources while dealing with some of the toughest enemies in the game, and yes, you'll get your hands on a few new weapons, including a badass shotgun that feels as satisfying as it looks. What makes Sam's story unique is its tone. Unlike the grim finality of the two Colonels, this DLC has a more personal, introspective vibe. Sam's journey is about hope, however faint, as he wrestles with his longing for home while forming connections with the people he meets along the way. The story hits emotional highs and lows with moments of tension, betrayal, and even humor. One of the highlights is Sam's interactions with new characters like Captain, a grizzled old sailor who guides you through much of the journey. Their dynamic is both entertaining and heartfelt, adding depth to the narrative. And of course, the ending gives you choices that carry real weight, forcing you to confront what survival and loyalty truly mean. Clocking in at around 6 to 8 hours, Sam's story feels like a true expansion rather than a simple add-on. It's an emotional, action-packed farewell to Metro Exodus that expands the world while staying true to the series' roots. If you've ever wondered what it's like to walk in Sam's boots, this DLC is worth every second. GTA 4: The Lost and Damned. The Lost and Damned is one of those DLCs that doesn't just extend the story, it gives you a whole new perspective on Liberty City. Released in 2009, it puts you in the leather jacket of Johnny Klubitz, a biker caught in the chaos of the Lost Motorcycle Club, offering a gritty and raw look at a different side of the GTA 4 world. The story is a wild ride. Johnny's loyalty to his brothers is constantly tested as he deals with the return of unstable club leader Billy Gray, rival gangs, and the law breathing down his neck. The tone is darker and more grounded than Nico Bellic's tale, focusing on betrayal, brotherhood, and the consequences of living the outlaw life. Gameplay gets a biker gang twist. Riding in formation with your crew feels immersive, and missions often revolve around intense motorcycle chases, shootouts, and turf wars. There's also a new arsenal of weapons to wreak havoc with, including the sawn-off shotgun and grenade launcher, perfect for biker-style chaos. The vibe is what makes The Lost and Damned shine. Liberty City feels grittier than ever with a heavy metal soundtrack, smoky clubhouse hangouts, and missions that dive deep into the underbelly of gang life. It's less about climbing to the top and more about surviving the mess you're already in. Bloodborne: The Old Hunters. The Old Hunters is Bloodborne cranked up to 11, a brutal, eerie expansion that dives even deeper into the twisted lore of Wyharnum. Released in 2015, this DLC doesn't just add content, it delivers some of the most intense, challenging, and unforgettable moments in the entire game. The story takes you into the Hunter's Nightmare, a hellish realm that's as haunting as it is mesmerizing. It reveals the tragic history of the Hunters who came before you, adding layers to the game's already cryptic lore. Exploring this cursed world feels like uncovering a dark secret, with every corner packed with grotesque creatures and chilling details. The new areas are beautifully horrifying. From blood-soaked rivers to decaying clock towers, the design is as stunning as it is unsettling. And then there are the bosses, some of the best From Software has ever created. They're tough, unpredictable, and will test your skills to the limit. On top of that, The Old Hunters introduces a wealth of new weapons and tools, like the Whirligig Saw, aka the Pizza Cutter, and Simon's Bowblade, giving you fresh ways to slay the nightmares. The new armor sets look incredible, and the expanded movesets let you approach combat with more creativity. This DLC isn't just for hardcore fans, it's a must-play for anyone who loved Bloodborne. It's intense, beautifully designed, and adds a satisfying conclusion to the game's story. Just be ready to die. A lot. God of War Ragnarök Valhalla. Valhalla, the roguelike DLC for God of War Ragnarök, takes everything we love about Kratos and throws him into an endless, brutal gauntlet that's equal parts challenging and addictive. Released in late 2023, this expansion is all about testing your skills, learning from your mistakes, and showing Valhalla that the ghost of Sparta doesn't play by its rules. The setup is simple, but effective. Kratos and Mimir find themselves pulled into Valhalla, the afterlife of fallen warriors. But this isn't the glorious hall of celebration we've heard about. It's an endless trial designed to make even the strongest bend. Each run is procedurally generated, meaning no two attempts are the same. You're constantly adapting, making split-second decisions, and learning as you fight. The combat is the star of the show here. New enemy types, including some familiar faces from earlier games like Cyclops and Minotaurs, keep the fights fresh and intense. And then there's the Legacy Rage ability, which lets you wield the Blade of Olympus. If you thought Kratos couldn't get more badass, this DLC proves you wrong. But it's not just about smashing heads. The Valhalla DLC introduces layers of strategy. Each run forces you to balance risk and reward, deciding whether to push forward for better upgrades or retreat to regroup. The procedural design means you're always on your toes, and every decision feels meaningful. Visually, it's stunning as you'd expect. Valhalla is a surreal mix of grandeur and danger, with sprawling golden halls, flickering flames, and eerie echoes of Kratos' past. The environments shift with each run, keeping things fresh while maintaining that signature God of War polish. Dying Light the following. The following takes Dying Light's parkour zombie slaying formula and drops it into an entirely new setting, swapping the dense urban sprawl for a sprawling countryside. Released in 2016, this expansion doesn't just add a fresh map, it delivers a full-blown story, new mechanics, and a hefty dose of adrenaline. The story picks up after the events of the main game, as Kyle Crane hears rumors of a mysterious cult in the countryside that may hold the key to a cure for the infection. The narrative dives into themes of faith, desperation, and secrets, all while keeping the stakes high with a tension-filled atmosphere. But the real game changer? The buggy. The countryside is massive, and your new ride isn't just for getting around, it's a weapon. You can upgrade it with flamethrowers, UV lights, and even spike bumpers to plow through hordes of zombies. The driving feels smooth and satisfying, and it adds a whole new layer to combat and exploration. The open-world countryside is beautiful and terrifying. Rolling hills, eerie forests, and abandoned farms are yours to explore, with plenty of side quests, secrets, and of course zombies. The change in setting shifts the gameplay, making you rely less on parkour and more on vehicles and clever tactics to survive. And let's not forget the new enemies. Volatiles are scarier than ever, and the introduction of cult fanatics keeps you on edge in ways the original game didn't. The difficulty spikes in the following are real, but the satisfaction of taking down a massive horde or completing a tough quest makes it all worth it. With its new story, vehicles, weapons, and massive map, the following feels like a full sequel rather than just DLC. It's a must-play for Dying Light fans and a perfect way to extend the zombie smashing fun. Outer Wilds: Echoes of the Eye. Echoes of the Eye takes the mind-bending exploration of Outer Wilds and wraps it in a brand new mystery that's equal parts eerie, emotional, and unforgettable. Released in 2021, this DLC expands the game's universe with a stunningly designed new area while keeping the core exploration and discovery intact. The story kicks off with a cryptic news signal that leads you to a hidden location, the kind of how did I not see this before moment that Outer Wilds does so well. From there, it's up to you to piece together the story of an ancient, long-forgotten civilization through environmental clues, cryptic messages, and clever puzzles. The new area is breathtaking but unsettling. It's darker both in tone and in visuals than the rest of the game, with an atmosphere that feels almost like a mix of wonder and dread. It's beautifully crafted with intricate environments and haunting details that make every discovery feel significant. But what makes Echoes of the Eye stand out is how it weaves its story into the gameplay. Just like the base game, it doesn't hold your hand. You'll uncover its secrets by exploring, experimenting, and yes, dying a few times. It respects your curiosity, rewarding you with some of the most emotional moments in the entire game. The DLC also introduces some new mechanics that shift how you interact with the world, keeping the experience fresh without straying from the spirit of Outer Wilds. And while it ties neatly into the main game, it also feels like its own standalone journey, one that lingers with you long after you've finished. If you love the original sense of wonder and discovery, Echoes of the Eye is a must-play. It's a brilliant addition to an already extraordinary game, and it's well worth every second of your time. Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Iceborne isn't just DLC, it's practically an expansion-sized sequel to Monster Hunter World. Released in 2019, this massive add-on takes everything great about the base game and cranks it up with new monsters, a sprawling map, fresh mechanics, and a ton of content that will keep you hunting for hours. The story kicks off with the discovery of Hoarfrost Reach, a frigid new region teeming with deadly creatures. The icy landscapes are jaw-dropping, from snow-covered cliffs to frostbitten caves, and they come with environmental challenges that force you to adapt. It's not just beautiful, it's unforgiving, and you'll need to prepare for what's out there. And speaking of what's out there, the new monsters are the real stars of Iceborne. From the thunderous Brachydios to the majestic and deadly Velkhana, the expansion's flagship Elder Dragon, each encounter is intense, unique, and pushes your skills to the limit. Even returning fan-favorite monsters like Tigrex bring new twists to keep you on your toes. The expansion also introduces the Master Rank, which raises the stakes with tougher fights and greater rewards. Add in new weapons, armor sets, and abilities like the Clutch Claw, a grappling hook that lets you latch onto monsters mid-fight, and the gameplay feels more dynamic and strategic than ever. Iceborne doesn't just add content, it improves the base game in every way. Quality of life updates, expanded crafting options, and a deeper endgame make it feel like a definitive Monster Hunter experience. Whether you're a seasoned hunter or a newcomer, there's something here to sink your teeth into. With its breathtaking environments, challenging monsters, and endless content, Iceborne is worth every penny. It's the ultimate test for hunters and a reminder of why Monster Hunter World became such a phenomenon. Resident Evil 4 Separate Ways. Separate Ways is the perfect companion to Resident Evil 4, giving fans a fresh perspective on the iconic story. Released as DLC for the 2023 remake, this expansion puts you in the shoes of Ada Wong, filling in the gaps of her mysterious involvement and adding layers to the game's plot. The story runs parallel to Leon's, showing how Ada Wong's missions tie into the larger narrative. It's packed with intrigue, action, and her signature charm, giving fans a deeper look into her motivations and her shadowy relationship with Albert Wesker. If you ever wondered what Ada Wong was up to while Leon was fighting off Ganados, this DLC delivers all the answers. Gameplay-wise, Separate Ways mixes stealth, action, and Wong's unique gadgets. The grappling gun is a standout. It adds verticality to exploration and combat, letting Ada Wong's pull-off moves Leon could only dream of. You'll face new challenges, including fresh enemy encounters and revamped boss fights that feel distinct from the base game. The environments are familiar but with a twist. Exploring areas from Wong's perspective reveals hidden paths and secrets that make the world feel even more connected. Plus, the DLC adds new cutscenes and moments that enrich the overall story, making it feel like an essential piece of the puzzle. At around 5 to 6 hours long, Separate Ways is packed with content, blending nostalgia with fresh ideas. For fans of Resident Evil 4, it's an absolute must-play, giving Ada the spotlight she deserves while deepening your appreciation for the main game.
You stay out of trouble.
Yes, Daddy.
Excuse me?
Yes, sir.